pay for your mortgage anymore. I don't want you to have to pay for the car anymore. These are things that I want to do for our family, and this is what I want to do through this business. And I thought to myself, sweet, no more mortgage, no more car payment. And she said, and if, I can get these things done, or if I could do this, or I could do that, there's only one of her, and she kind of let me know that. And so by telling me that, it got my wheels turning. Okay, so I can help you with this. I got some free time. I can either do one or two things. I can play Call of Duty. That's a good one. I like that game. Or I can go online. I can help my wife with her business. I can help encourage her girls. I can, help deliver makeup. Obviously, I can take care of the kids. So what got me more involved was getting excited about all of her goals that she told me, and talking about P5. Yeah, P5 is realistic goals that were tangible, goals that I felt could be accomplished, that she felt could be accomplished. She set that level. We knew we were going. And I knew that I could help her, and she put that to me, that this is not just her business. And I always tell my guys all the time in my men's groups that don't look at it as if it is her business. It is both of your businesses, just like my business is hers. We help one another. I'm not just talking about physically, but emotionally, we're both invested in this. Financially, we're both invested in this. We are a part of this, whether we like it or not. And we want them to succeed. So how I got so into it is I saw these goals, I saw that I could help, and she let me know that I could help. Because sometimes we just expect men to just know. And obviously, I think all you women know that we're crappy mind readers. Really bad. I'm horrible, actually. She'll come in with like a whole different color of hair, and she's like, "What's new about me?" I'm like, "Your pants." So you have to, as any woman, I'll tell you this right now, the best thing you can do is never assume that we know what you're thinking, ever. And I'm sure you've all figured this out, but be very direct, because we're very one-track minded. I don't know if anybody else is going to agree with me on that. Be very direct and tell them your goals. And I think that's how it got me into it.
Brian had something to say.
Just from a father's perspective, obviously my wife is not involved in Unique, but I followed my daughter since 2015 in this journey. And I want to kind of get it more direct. Is there any husbands or significant others in the audience today that was brought here as sort of a way to convince you that your wife was doing the right thing? No hands? Well, that's a good sign. That means you ladies are doing the right things. I just, wanted to obviously say that I think that as from the male perspective, if you just decide to give whatever it is of your time to help them, it will ease the transition and help you grow that business that much quicker. So that's it.
Want to go to the next question?
Yeah.
Hold on, Jessica.
Just to add to that, get them to convention. If you can get them to convention or things like this, it's one thing to see the back of their phone right now, but when they're there and they hear Derek and Melanie talk and they see what the mission's all about and they see these girls that are empowered and all that, that's what did it for me. I remember going to, St. Louis? Mm-hmm. Chicago was the first one, right? And when I left there, I was just wow, she's doing something. This is big. And I was all in then. But up until then, we fought. I was the guy that was get off your phone, choose the business or choose me. But once I saw what was really going on, it was easier for me.
Are we out of charged?
No, it died.
No, it died.
I'm not repeating it.
Way to go. Oh, man. I may have to go find someone. I'm going to read this one out loud while I go search for someone. What do you find most rewarding about your wife's business, and what do you see as the biggest hardship?
One more time.
What do you find most rewarding about your wife's business, and what do you see as the biggest hardship?
I think the biggest reward is when she succeeds at something. When she does her goals, she's very goal oriented. When I see her put something out there in the month, like I'm going to do this, whether it's, you know, whether it's, you know, I'm going to sell this many kudos or I'm going to get, you know, this many girls sponsored on the team. When she reaches that goal, I think that's the most rewarding thing. Of course, like the trips and things like that help out, but you know, the day-to-day, the month-to-month, that helps out. I think the biggest, the hardest thing is when she doesn't reach those goals. You know, because then, you know, I mean, that's a letdown to anybody. Obviously, is when you achieve what you're reaching for. But you know, there's always the next month, and that's what I try to tell her. But that's the hardest thing for me is when she doesn't actually get what she's reaching for.
That was the mic.
That was the microphone.
Natural reaction.
Wonder if it's broken.
To me, I think the biggest reward is just the friendships, the sisterhood that we've gained. I mean, for those that didn't know Megan and I before Unique, is we were pretty introvert. We kept to ourselves. We just didn't get out very much. Like Ashley will agree, like we never did anything. And
Social butterfly.
now we're social butterflies. We get out, have our way over pretty much every day.
Romances all
Just
over.
romances all over.
E5 everywhere.
But as far as the biggest letdown, was that the other part? Biggest
Yeah,
letdown?
biggest hardship.
Biggest hardship? Let's say traveling. I'm not real big on traveling. Which you don't have to, but once you get up to the higher statuses.
Or maybe even something that you've overcome, like the biggest thing you've overcome. Maybe that's what they mean by hardship.
Something we've overcome.
Yeah, like a hardship that you overcame.
He's an introvert.
Yeah, I'm an introvert.
Thinking too much
I'm
into the
overcoming
question.
this.
Yes.
This is a hardship.
Answering this question?
Yeah, answering this question. But yeah, that's fine.
Fix this. Biggest thing that I've seen that really benefited Melanie when she got into it, and we were actually talking about it last night, was just to see the transformation, not only within her, within our family, and as we continue on as she grows a bigger and bigger company. New mic?
Let me see that.
Have at it. What are you going to tell us?
Here's the question.
Yeah, the battery died on the other one too.
They got the managing stuff. I think she went to go find you.
I can go find her.
She's just outside that. Is she? She was. I just saw her.
You took it.
You guys met?
Yeah. I mean, I can. Some people get scared when I do that. We're introverts. We're just introverts.
I love people.
I
think we should probably stand up.
Christina.
Just try to stand up and just see.
Christina.
We're still live.
Wait.
Say hi to the live guys.
Hi, guys.
Sorry, guys.
Hi, Liv.
Technical difficulties. Hi, Lindsay.
He wants
I'm
to stand
glad
up
we
if you want to be the
just
big
started
man.
talking. The only person you'll scare is okay.
Do you want the chairs on? We're all put our chairs up there.
This is really vodka.
Right? This is really vodka.
Are we going on stage?
Yeah, people stand in the store.
I like the ball.
Good. Are we at Rachel stage? We very well might. There's a good possibility.
Yeah.
Now there's more pressure. Before I could look at the ground.
Nobody can see you. Now you gotta look them all in the eye. Your chair back. No, I was walking like Megan before. Now it's turning.
They're just getting us new mics.
Alright.
There's a lot of good questions for you guys. Got crushed it.
While we're waiting, oh wait, here we go. Hey. Okay. Sting. No. Okay. Nope.
Alright, so we're back again. We moved upstage so everybody can see us. We didn't have to stand.
But as I was talking about it, it's more about, it was the progress that I saw in my wife. She went from someone who was kind of like Jeremy over here. She wasn't a social butterfly. She'd rather go home, sit in the house, do nothing. And I was always the huge social butterfly, kind of like Jesse. I get to talking too much sometimes. But to see her pictures go from someone who didn't put a whole lot of effort into when she went to work and things like that, to someone who wanted to make sure that she got up early before work to take care of herself, to feel pretty when she looked in the mirror, rather than just, you know what, this is just me, I'm going with it, so on and so forth. And to see the photo of the side-by-side of when she first bought her kit and she decided, you know what, I'm going to sell now. And she started selling and she took her first selfie, to now I have to stand there every day and take probably about 50 photos until we find one that actually works. And now that we're doing maternity photos on a weekly basis, I take 100 photos until we find one that works, because there's a rough one that showed or something like that. So just to see the difference in her is the biggest empowerment. The biggest hardship would be me actually getting on board that we overcome. I'm still not one that is a huge social media fan, and a lot of that has to do with my profession and things like that. But when I saw the effort that she was putting into it, it became a whole lot easier for me to go, you know what, if she's going to put forth this much effort, I've got to at least give her a little bit. And it was as simple as just anytime she does something, I click the share button. If you look at me on Facebook, you're probably not going to see me share anything other than my wife's stuff. And that's about it. But you know what, it brings in a whole different clientele, because I'm the social butterfly. I've got a lot of reaches to other places and things like that. That's an audience she wouldn't reach if it wasn't for something that I would share. And I always enjoy getting on her lives and trying to get the people to interact and talk with one another, because then it brings more interest to the live, as well as then seeing friends of mine that she's not friends with hop on our lives. And it's really funny when I see the guys at work hop on there to watch my wife do makeup. I get a real kick out of that. So that's kind of where I was going with it. Jesse.
Yes.
Jeremy.
Sure, yeah. I can't agree more with actually what Brian here said. I was totally against it. I would spend more time staring at the back of her phone more often than not, and I get aggravated. So I'm going to say I have two things that were things that we got over. One actually me learning more and blending more with her and learning a lot more. And it actually made her more confident in a lot that she did. And then the second thing was actually Alex herself. She was terrified to death to go live. And that right there was like, even for me, for her, she literally decided to push play one day, and now I can't get her to stop. So, I love you for that.
That's nerve-wracking.
What's up?
Going live, that's nerve-wracking.
I've never done it.
Kudos to you all.
You're going live right now.
I said, live now.
There we go. We burst your cherry.
All right, and on top of that, these guys right here.
Don't go there with this group.
I have literally made a lot of good friends. I've met a lot of great people. And I'm telling you, if you can do it, if you're willing to put the time in, it's possible. And I've come to learn that.
Awesome. And it's not on. Hold on. Those were really. Nope. Where's Nyla?
Okay. The next question, what I was trying to say was those are really good answers, but on the third try, it's no longer effective. Those who struggled with the time your wife spent on the phone, thought about it. At which point did you improve or change? At which point did that improve or change for you, and how did you come to an agreement?
All of us?
Don't get that off.
I mean, there's still times where it's like, what are you doing? Like, you look at them and be like, hey, you need to be focusing on work. Are you working or are you scrolling, you know? But, I mean, at the beginning it was a lot harder, but like I said before, when I got to convention, I saw what was going on. That was huge. And then, like, I started celebrating with her. Like when she hit pink status, it was like we celebrated that. When she hit blue status, we celebrated that. Like I guess like as horrible as it is to say, like when she was like, "Hey, I just made your car payment this month," it was like, "Get on your phone." And then she was like, "Hey, I just made your mortgage payment." "Why are you talking to me? Get on your phone." And then like she retired me, and I was like, "Have my phone. Work on it." I mean, as horrible as it is to say, I mean, it does help when you start to see her progressing in that, but like, there still is times, I mean, where, like, I'll get selfish and my ego will get in the way, and I'll be like, "Hey, why aren't you listening to me?" But then I remember I don't gotta go to work tomorrow, and it helps.
So time. Yeah, I think we all still, have our moments. I used to be very notorious for my wife was on her phone and I wanted her attention. I'd literally grab it out of her hand and sling it all the way across her. I'm crazy. Not in a bad way. I don't like winging against the wall or anything, but I was like, whoop, over to the other couch. It's one of those things that I talk about it all the time as far as most men struggle with that affirmation that what is priority in life ultimately to an extent. So we always talk about what's our priorities, family first, and so on down the line. So your spouse is very important. And that's something that we always try to test you on whether we realize it or not. So I would, say, "Hey, we're watching this show," and she's like doing her thing or whatever. And I'm like, "Are you gonna watch the show too? You're the one that made me watch The Bachelorette, and now I'm having to..." We do it all the time. So in those situations, like, how do we handle it? So Christina's kind of found out really quickly with me, and I always tell this a lot to a lot of the girls that ask that same question about their spouses, significant others, about getting mad about them being on the phone. And that is that we as men are, in my opinion, very easy creatures to get along with as far as we're very independent. We're not usually up in your face, like, "Let's cuddle tonight," and getting all nutty. So that for that 5 minutes of time that we really get into it, we want your attention. Unfortunately, you'll have to sacrifice that and give us hyper focus, meaning that we're not going to want your attention for that long. And unfortunately, I know it sounds bad. 5 minutes is all I need. But what I'm saying is, get your minds out of the gutter. It's 3 minutes, by the way.
It only took 2.
Yeah, took 2 minutes over there. No, but with that, if you give us that focus, you stop for a second. If you stop for 5 minutes of time and literally give us that hyper-focused attention, where you start talking to us, we say what we have to say. We'll probably get it out within less than 2.5 minutes as far as conversation goes. And if you start telling us about what you got to talk about, we're going to feel a lot better about that. So what I'm saying is take that focus, people. I like this. We're getting this online?
It's all
Very good.
Next question. Yep, cross your legs.
Give us that attention, and I promise you, if you give that 5 minutes of time to be able to talk to people and really just get your thoughts across, their thoughts across, then he's going to want to not be so crazy about it. But if you consistently ignore him over and over again and don't know how to set standards or limits, then obviously that frustration is going to sink in. I think we've all experienced that before, as far as can't look away from the phone. I promise you, ladies, you can look away from the phone from time to time. It'll be okay.
My big thing that I tried to preach to Melanie the most, and it's something that it took me a while in my profession. Make it easier. I'm a law enforcement officer over in Kentucky, so that's a lot to do with the privacy on my Facebook and things like that. It's more for protection, not so much of me, but for my family. But the one thing that my dad taught me very early on was that you leave work at work. Especially in my career, you can't come home and bring that home with you. And it applies to every job that you do. Unfortunately, you all do your job from home. So the big thing is to always remember, unfortunately with my wife, she works a 40-hour a week job, then she comes home and she spends another probably 40 hours doing that, is you still have to remember, you still have to separate it. You still have to make time for your family, for your kids. And you can see it in our daughter when Melanie has probably spent a little bit too much time just thumbing through Facebook or actually working her business, whatever she's doing. As long as she keeps making the money, I'm good with it. But you'll see it in your kids. Your kids will basically tell you, hey, like, I want the attention. You haven't given me the attention that I want. So pick up on those signs and realize that if it's coming from your kids, you're probably getting it from your husband, or you're probably getting it from a roommate, or you're probably getting it from a friend. This job doesn't define you. You know, you define this job. So whatever you do makes this job what it is. And without you all doing that, then this job wouldn't be what it is. So don't let somebody else tell you that this is the way it has to be. You tell them how it's going to be. But remember that at the same time, your family's right there with you. So if you want them to support you, make sure you still give them the time. And like Jesse said, you give me 2.5 minutes, I'm good. You know? Long enough to just say, hey, how was your day? All right, see you later. You know, every once in a while I can tell, same thing, go get on your phone, leave me alone, I'm trying to watch this TV show or something like that. But define this job, don't let it define you, and don't bring it home. Though you're working from home, it's still a job. Shut it off every once in a while, do something with the family. Facebook's still going to be there. You can scroll all the way to like last week in your news feed, so you won't miss anything, I promise. But work your job well, but give your time for your family.
Yeah, they're absolutely right, but on the other end of the spectrum, and I believe everything they say about just shutting the phone down, but this business is also, however much work you put into it is how much you're going to receive back, you know, like reward. But I would fight with Megan a lot early on, and one day she's just like, well, I'm getting blown up, here, you answer some of my messages. And so I answered some messages, and I'm just like, no, I'm good, here you go.
It's never ending.
It's never ending. But it's true, like if you take time off, like if you take too much time off, you're gonna lose a sale, possibly. So it's hard to like set business hours in this line of work. More or less, you just have to like, I don't know, just like, I struggle with words, I hate you. But no,
you have to pick and choose.
Yeah, you have to pick and choose like the times you do things. So obviously, if you're at your kid's baseball game, or you know you're reading your kid a bedtime story, that's probably not a good time to be like color matching or doing something like that. But if you're sitting and your husband's wanting you to watch a Netflix show, I mean, I don't see what the big deal is. You know, you want to get a little bit of work done, because it's not income producing sitting there watching 13 Reasons Why. Yeah, that's just my 2 cents.
Well, I think like the rest of us up here, we were not big on the phone thing in the beginning. I was really bad about it. I would actually ignore Carrie. When she was ignoring me, I would just try to take it one further and just not talk to her for hours. But yeah, I was really, really bad. But I mean, like Jeremy was saying, this isn't a 9 to 5, but you need to be able to pick when you are on the phone and when you're not. So I think one thing that helped me too is, you know, the times we were sitting there watching TV, she and I look over and I'd say, "What are you doing?" She, "Well, I'm working." Well, I heard I'm working. Well, then she started telling me what she was actually working on, so I could comprehend like what she's actually doing instead of I'm just working. Because every time I saw it, she's just on Facebook. You know, I don't know, she's just scrolling, whatever. So then she would tell me, well, I'm messaging someone. You know, an order being placed. I have to talk to this person about this, or I'm setting up this. That's when I started to understand, okay, she's actually working. She's not just having playtime. It's not that she's ignoring us or, you know, family or the house or anything like that. And one thing that she's also helped out with is just like the timing thing, like the bedtime stories or the family dinners or the, you know, whatever the games, the dances, whatever you do as a family, you know, kind of set that time away. Because in the evening, when normal business hours aren't, you still have time to work your business. And I think that's helped out. She's found a happy medium on when to work it, when not to, and I understand a little bit more. So it's easier for me. So that kind of goes back to the first question. How can you help understand? It's, you know, explain to your husband what you're actually doing instead of, oh, I'm working. Because he's going to look at it, especially if you're new, like I was like, bullshit, she's not working. You know, I mean, she made cat videos or something. You know, I didn't know, but you know, as she told me, then I started to understand a little bit better.
Well, I guess I have to approach this from a different angle, being a dad, and my wife, as I said, is not involved. The majority of my time on the phone, my wife is overlooking my shoulder because I'm, as Y-Dad, the one out there doing all the congratulation and motivational posts, and she's wondering, what the hell are you doing on the phone for so long? So she's come to understand that the information and motivation that I provide to all the ladies here, by the way, if you're not following me, at The Real Y-Dad on Facebook.
Get it, Brian.
But,
You gotta plug him.
but you know, she's come around to realize that there's benefits from what I'm doing, and she sees the whenever I go on someone live and they acknowledge that I'm there, she just finds it fascinating that people know who I am based upon my comments from previous. So she understands that now, and it's runs pretty smoothly. So.
My spouse is very unsupportive. He keeps telling me I'm wasting my time. This business is going nowhere. You're losing money. It's a pyramid scheme, etc. How did your spouse get you to support her, to help her succeed? I know we kind of touched on this a little bit, but this one really spoke to me.
So that's basically when Melanie first approached me and told me about it. I basically looked at her and said, it's another pyramid scheme.
I think we all did.
Why are you wasting your time on another pyramid scheme? And I basically looked at her and said, she's like, well, I really want to give it a try. And I was like, I really don't want you to. And I said, prove it to me. I literally said, if you're going to sacrifice your time with the family and me pick up more stuff, you know, the equal shares of doing things around the house aren't going to be equal anymore and I'm going to have to make up, then you got to prove it to me. So the best thing I can tell you to do, flaunt it in his face. You know? If he wants some of your money, you know, he better start supporting you. I had a conversation with a lady back there, and I was talking about how easy it is just to click the share button. You know, you really don't have to do a whole lot more than that. It's that simple. And she goes, well, like when he goes to the bathroom, I'm like, I spend a lot of time in there. That's where I do a lot of my sharing and clicking shares. So, you know, tell him if he wants dinner, you gotta hit the share button. You know. So the big thing with her, like I said, it was telling him, basically set your goals up, start small, tell him what your goals are, and say, hey, if I do this, this is what I want to accomplish. And with Melanie, it was, hey, you know, if you want to do it, prove to me that you can, you know, pay your car insurance. And the next thing you know, she's like, all right, I made enough commission to pay my car insurance. I'm like, oh crap, that didn't work. All right, now pay your car insurance and pay your car payment. Let me see you do that one. And it was like a month later, all right, pay my car insurance, pay my car payment. So then, I'm all about proof. You know, you got to prove to me that you want to do something. You know, because you can get, like, all the topics we've talked about here, you can get sucked into that trolling on Facebook and you're not really being productive. So if you're not proving to him that you're actually being productive at what you're doing, then you're never going to get his support. We're going to go right back to the conversation we just had about why are you just on your phone doing nothing? You know, so if he's not, the initial step is to get him on board is prove to him that, one, that you have the passion for it, and that passion is actually producing something for him to be on board. And then, like I said, if he's not on board, keep your money from him. She keeps it from me.
Talk on the pyramid scheme, Jesse. Say we're on a pyramid scheme, you're actually getting a product.
Yeah.
When there's something about pyramid scheme?
Yeah, he was just saying that.
Explain what a pyramid scheme is and
why this is not.
why it's not.
Why it's not a pyramid scheme.
Wow, Jeremy, you'd be perfect at that.
Got it, brother.
I think you know the breakdown better than anybody. Yeah.
Hey, I hate you.
You would.
No, but this, with the whole pyramid scheme thing, like with the pyramid scheme, there's not usually like a product being exchanged, and versus like with Unique, I mean, it's $99 for a $300 value of makeup. I mean, you can explain to them that even if I decide I don't want to be a presenter, you're still getting a $300 product in exchange. So how is that getting involved in a pyramid scheme or wasting money because you're gaining something?
Or just tell them to go Google a pyramid
Yeah,
scheme.
and tell them to go do the research on the company. I mean, we're the farthest thing from a pyramid scheme. If you just did your research and see that Unique's the fastest growing network marketing company, I mean, just throw it in his face, do some research.
I agree. I concur. Now, we've all seen those breakdowns of pyramid schemes. I'm sure that everybody's looked into it. As far as what is unique, what's the basis behind it? What is the basis behind pyramid schemes? How does that all operate? We always see that picture where what's the ultimate pyramid scheme? You have a boss or you have an owner, then you have a GM. From there, it breaks down to the boss, to all the employees, and so in a way, corporate America can be a pyramid scheme, to where you're working for another guy to make all the money, more or less. The owners. But yeah, I mean, this is something that I'm going back to both of these guys, that the proof is in the pudding when it comes to, that's the way that you get somebody to be a believer. Obviously, success makes everybody believe. And how you do that is obviously through hard work, but you also, if you have a spouse that is giving you a hard time, doesn't believe at all, you have no positivity at all, and sometimes you have, just like Ashley said, sisters, you have friends, you have people, naysayers, just saying that what you're doing is stupid or what you're doing doesn't make any sense. They're not really keen on what you're doing there and doesn't think that it's going to work for you. Then I tell people this all the time, is how do you get rid of that negativity? Well, you have to be able to create your own circle, which is exactly what Megan did. Megan created her own circle, which eventually, if you ever see bubbles and you have this one bubble and you have other little bubbles around it, eventually you notice that the one bubble, after it gets so large, starts to expand, and it literally absorbs all the other bubbles. Well, it's the same thing with your circle of positivity. So as your circle grows, and that you make yourself hard, I love the bubble talk. I do this all the time. Anyways, and you have this circle, and you start to grow this positivity with all these girls, and you grow this confidence, and you get a big room full of women and do a huge training in Cincinnati. Those people who were naysayers, eventually are absorbed in it. They cannot help but see the value. And that's the thing, there's value in this company. And so much value to the point to where, just like Jeremy explained it, this company is willing, because they know, they're willing to give you these kits of a certain value. Now, if they sold this all separately, we all know they'd get more money, essentially, right? So they have so much faith in you as an individual to make that money back, and on top of that, make them that money back. They're willing to give you this for this particular price up front because they know that they're going to get it back. That's how confident they are. They're not like other auto ships or other certain companies out there. I won't name names, but what they'll do, they don't make you purchase all that up front and say, well, now it's your turn. Now you got to go out there and sell it. If you don't get it, I'm sorry, you're out of luck. But we want to make sure we get ours first. That's not how Unique operates. It's not how they did that premise on their business. They're that confident. And that confidence speaks volumes of why they're able to do that. So sometimes you need to break it down of not only who we are, but what differentiates us from other companies. Because I think we need to be very clear about that when you talk to your spouse, because sometimes we will get that. Not another Mary Kay, not another LuLaRoe, or any of that. But we need to be confident, and it's okay to talk about your company as it's the best, because you made that decision. So obviously, whether you're saying it or not, you believe that's the best company, the best fit for you, that is the number one. If you thought there was another number one out there, you'd be joining them, now wouldn't you? So it's okay to speak confidently and feel and believe and tell people that you believe what you're doing is the best. And so therefore, you need to exude that. No one's going to be a believer of you if you're not a believer and say that out loud, that this is what I'm doing, this is the best company to be with, and this is why. So do your research too of how to debunk their feelings. Because just like Ashley said, sometimes it's just as simple as and I'm putting this lightly, obviously, but it's just ignorance of the company in general. They just don't understand where it's coming from, how it operates, how it works. And that's up to you, and I'll put that all on all of you girls. That's up to you to educate, to let people know exactly what the difference is and why. Not just, don't ever explain it like, it's kind of like LuLaRoe, it's kind of like Mary Kay. It's the worst answer you could ever give. Because I think we all know some people or some prospects that, or in other companies that have made failures, and we don't know what their relationship is with that. So they may have bad blood, bad vibes with that kind of stuff. But what I will say is that what you need to do is you need to say why you stand out and who you are. And I think that's how you make somebody a believer.
Jeremy, do you have anything on that topic?
You're banned. Oh, no, go ahead.
Next.
There was two that went along the lines with, did you truly believe your wife would be successful or could be successful?
He just talks to himself all day long.
Well, the first answer is yes. I always knew that she'd be successful. Now, did I have doubts about this in particular in the beginning? Well, of course I did. I was in the air about it. There was a point where I just kind of ignored the whole thing because I was so unsure of it, and that was my own fault. I didn't take my time to look into it and ask her what she was doing. So that's where the whole problems with arguing over phone time and work time. But then I seen her start doing well, and she started doing good for herself, and confidence was going up, so mine did as well too. And then it got to the point where we talked about her possibly leaving her full-time job. She was a dental assistant. And she was nervous, and then I got to the point where I was like, you know what? You want to do it, you can do it. Quit your job. And she did. She quit her dental assisting job, and as we sit right here today, she is successful. And we're going to climb the ladder.
I remember when Kylie first started, she was like getting real excited, and she would like show me, like, because somebody in like a private group posted their monthly income, like what they made for the month of, say, February or March. It was one of the bigger months, and I was like, no way, that's unreal. I was like, you'll never make that kind of money. It was like, I could see you making X amount of money, but there's no way you'll make Y amount of money. Like it would be awesome if you even got to X. That'd be awesome. And then like it just started climbing and climbing and climbing. And I was just like, how big is this thing gonna get? 2.5 minutes. But like honestly, like I never really doubted her, but like I think like I didn't understand like how big like you can take this, like how far you can take it if you just sit down and work. I mean, like it's the way, like going back to the pyramid scheme, the thing that's awesome about this company is it's set up to where someone who hasn't even signed up yet, they can start tomorrow and they can go right to the top if they put in the work, or like they can leapfrog their sponsor and their sponsor's sponsor and their sponsor's sponsor. Like it's set up to where some of these girls in the room that are pink or blue, they'll go past a BS1 someday if they just keep working and stick to it. So, I mean, if there is doubt, I mean, you're in the right place because it's not a pyramid scheme, and you can just keep going as long as you're willing to work and as long as you've got the support, really.
Well, as a responsible father, when Jen came to me to tell me that she was getting involved with this, I said absolutely not. And it was one of those things where it took me about 60 to 90 days to believe that she could make anything of this, because I had been in some situations in the past in my younger life where I wasn't so successful with network marketing, and I decided that she wasn't going to make it either, and I didn't want her to have to go through all of this stuff and not get anywhere with it. But she proved me wrong very quickly. For those of you that still maybe are on the edge about whether or not this is legit or not, I can tell you that it absolutely is. And again, it's not someone that's directly involved with the company, but has seen not just Jen, but Megan, Christina, and all these other ladies that I've come to know through this wonderful business just grow. And it's not one of those things where it's a catty environment where all the women are trying to outdo the other. Everyone is helping each other, and that's the one thing I just love about it, and I'll continue to support it because of that.
To that question, I'm going to say absolutely no. Like, when she came to me and said it, I was just flat out no. And I'm glad now that I got on board after a while, but it did take a while. It was probably like a year before I really got on board thinking that she could be successful at this. I thought it was just, in the very beginning I was thinking, you know what, your sister already does it, you have friends that do it. I was the person that said, your market is saturated. There's no way that you can even make anything off of this. and she has completely proven me wrong, and I couldn't be happier about it. Because I'm on board now, we have fun with it. You know, we do lives together, and you know, even though I sometimes have to pick out through 30,000 pictures in one night for the one that's posted, it's still fun. So, but yeah, in the beginning, no. So if there's other husbands out there, boyfriends, whatever, just be patient and prove them wrong.
You can answer. Okay.
I think she wanted you to say something.
Yeah.
Get on it.
We want to know your real thoughts from the
I
beginning.
forgot the question. We asked her to hear it because of
Believe I
Jesse.
could be
Oh,
successful.
here.
No, I didn't. Actually, I told her not to buy the kid early on, and she's bullheaded and decided to go to my closet and take a bunch of clothes and have a yard sale. But yes, I'm very glad she did it now, and thank you for everything.
For your man.
Thank you for my man.
And the golden tee. The
And the
golden
pool.
tee golf. The arcade golden
What
tee.
do you personally want for your spouse out of this business?
The golden
I'll just throw the mic out.
What do you personally want for your spouse out of this business? So I think we should go down the line, every single one of you guys should.
Ooh.
Well,
You get
from
hard.
my dad's perspective again. For those of you that don't know my story, I'll just real quick. I retired from the Air Force. We've traveled all around the world, and she basically has followed me around and basically gave all of her younger years to me to allow me to do what I do. So when she wanted to get involved with this, when I saw it was legit, I felt the only thing that I could do at that point was to get behind her and support her fully. And she has definitely exceeded anything that I could ever do, and I'm very proud of her for that.
I just want her to enjoy it. You know, it's not every day that you get to go to work and have fun, and she has fun doing it every day and every night. So I just want her to have fun.
Ooh, woo.
Like Josh said, like I just want her to. I mean, this company makes her feel beautiful. I mean, she struggled. Everybody probably knows her story. She struggled with anorexia for a long time, and I think this company and her coming out of her shell has really helped her just feel confident and beautiful. So I just want her to continue to be healthy.
I just want her to be a millionaire. If she's a millionaire, I'm a millionaire. Now, I touched on it earlier. You know, I just want her to continue to grow as a person. She changes every day, every week, every month, every year. I mean, from the time she's gotten into it, she's completely different. So the more she changes in the positive, that naturally reflects positivity on me, positivity on our children, and as well as our family. It's a chain reaction, so as long as she continues to enjoy what she's doing and achieve higher goals in what she's doing, it means our family and everything else, and the chain reaction benefits from it. So, and be a millionaire.
Yes. The unique effect is real, that's for sure. But what I want for my wife is her just to be the greatness that I know she is, as well as she knows she is. Ever since she was a little girl, she'd tell you that she was meant for something great. Impact, not only on herself, but she loves to be able to love on other people and be able to, make other people great. And I really feel that she's getting her identity, if that makes any sense. That is her identity. Because she told me once, a long time ago when we first had kids, my dream was, for whatever random reason, I wanted to be the guy that could let his spouse stay home and they just not have to do anything but take care of kids and cook and clean and all that good stuff. As if I thought that was glorifying for a woman to do, is to be able to stay at home. That's for whatever reason, that's just what my mind was. I thought that was like awesome, and yeah, I don't have to work, and I kind of do what I want. But I didn't understand that she told me one time that she didn't want to be just mom. and she felt like that's who she was. She was just mom, or just Jesse's wife, or what have you. And I didn't really understand that she needed that identity to be who she needs to be. And that's what I want for her. That's what she's accomplishing now. Is she's not mom. You know, she's Christina McKeon, exclusive black status, role model leader. And so she's living up to that greatness that I know she is. And then I want her to continue to do that, and continue to be able to help others do that too.
All around. Can't follow that.
Now, since she started this business, I've seen her confidence just grow, like, into something that I never thought that she would become. Like, I've seen her sit at home before all of this and sit there and say, I have no friends. I have, like, all I have are the people at work, the clients that I cut their hair or whatever. And, like, since she, like, started doing this business, I've seen her become such a strong woman, not just as, like, and grow friendships with all of this company, but, like, her confidence is growing, but I want it to keep growing because there's still some days that she doubts herself, and, like, I want that to go away. But like, I'm very proud of the woman that you are and that you become, and that I just want you to just never doubt yourself.
2 minutes, Chad. 2 minutes.
Well, I guess we've kind of clarified everything here. But for you, I would want you to obviously live happy, more than we are now. And you have done very well. You've doubted yourself. Oh yeah. Times where I've had to tell you, put foot in your butt. But hey, I put a foot in your butt. But
It's always about an
it's all it is. No, but I want to see you happy. You enjoy this. You've made family. It's not just sisters. It's not friends. We're all family now. And I want you to enjoy it. I want you to become very successful. I love you.
How can I get my husband to understand how hard it is to juggle Unique, staying at home with 2 small children, and doing housework?
Tell him to try it. Like, I've been home for about a month, and yeah, she already told me to go back. But honestly, like since I've come home, like I don't understand like how I had time to do anything before. But like to try to get them to understand it, I mean, they're not going to understand. You just got to try to do your best, get them to help out whenever you can, and be patient with them because they may not understand the business right away. So, like I remember when Kylie went to Unified for the green, like right before then we were like ready to kill each other. Like I told her at one point, I was like, what would you choose if it was either me or the business? And like, thank goodness she didn't choose one or the other because I would have lost either way. But like when she went to Unified, I remember her coming home and telling me what Melanie said in the class, right? It was Melanie. And she talked about the glass balls of Unique, that like when you're juggling them, that you've got to be careful. But you've got to be careful because the family ones are glass, and when you're trying to balance everything, you don't want those to fall because they will shatter. So. But that like struck home to me to know that the company wants your family to succeed first. They don't want you to fail at home. Like they would rather you not do this business than to lose your family. And once I heard that, I was like, if they're going to be like that, how could I be a supportive husband and not be on board? So.
She wanted to go down the line.
No, not on this one.
Oh, could have skipped me then.
See?
Okay.
We'll be here too long. honestly, I mean, we all have to sit here and we have to realize, one, I'm going to give everybody up here, all the guys on the stage, any husbands who came here today, you might as well just go ahead and call yourself a unicorn. I can call that on a regular basis. And it's because we're here for a reason. We're sitting here for a reason because just like us, and there's many more of us out there, including the ones that are sitting here today that aren't up on this stage, you actually care about your wife. You actually are interested. She's proven to you, or you were just interested from the very beginning in this company. But unfortunately, we do have to realize as a collective group that as a stereotype, a lot of times you're going to battle that man who just he can't get over himself. He's got a big ego or whatever it is. You battle it in society on a regular basis. And you might not ever beat it. And that was my whole goal of going back, that you just prove him wrong. He might not ever support you, but the only person that you really have to prove it to, one, is yourself. And that you can be successful at it, and then you be successful at it. You really don't need his approval to do it. Now, that could cause conflict for you all and things like that. Unfortunately, I don't have the answer for that. But I just pray that all of you can actually show the men in your life that you can do it, you will do it, and hopefully they'll get on board with it as well. Because hopefully you all get a unicorn. My daughter likes to call me that.
You are sparkly.
No, but really, like, if you're struggling with support a spouse, my biggest thing is get them to a convention. Like, I don't know how many guys whose views of the company and everything have changed just by interacting with other guys that are like-minded at convention. Like, not even talking about, like, at the corporate stuff. Like, we go out afterwards to dinner, or they'll run into us at bars, you know, just World of Beers, this guy and his Viking lager, whatever the crap it was.
Viking blood.
Viking blood. But even Jeremy down here, like, he wasn't supportive, and last year, like, we hung out, and ever since that day, we've become, like, best friends. Like, I could say he's, like, one of my best friends just through Unique, who I would have never met. And
Except he's Amish and you're not.
Yeah, he's Amish.
Yeah.
No, really, like, you need to get your husband out there, because what you're doing online, and then if you're going to do, like, this thing today by yourself, like, he's feeling left out. Like, he's gonna almost, what's that word I'm looking for? Unicorn. No.
Airplane.
He's gonna push against it because he feels like you're just always gone and distant. But if you're bringing him to these things, then he's gonna, like, he'll see everything, and he'll just be better.
Good.
This will be our final question, and it was, what do you do to help your spouse with her business? And I'm going to start with Brian, just because he does a lot of behind-the-scenes work.
Thank you. Yeah, I do pride myself on keeping up with the back office, because Jen, bless her heart, has given me access to all of her numbers, and so I kind of keep a watch on the ladies that are progressing, the ladies that may need a little bit more motivation, because as you rise up in the company, your visibility to those underneath you becomes a little less. It's just hard, and I know Megan can really speak to that, as far as not being able to know everyone or see everyone. It's just impossible. So the more help that you have, the better it is. And I enjoy reinforcing her business from that perspective, and also on social media, trying to motivate, congratulate, whatever the case may be, just to keep everyone motivated, because I think you're all part of the same family. So, and I just want to use this opportunity as some appreciation for letting me be a part of your business.
I just do what I can. I mean, I don't know too much about the products. I'm starting to learn. I mean, before I knew what lipstick was and mascara, and that's it. Now I know a little bit more, which is still probably not enough for when she says, "Hey, go grab this." But I don't do the whole back office thing. I would just probably destroy that and mess it up. But I just help out where I can. I help her with her lives. I help her with ideas when she's doing, like, her Halloween looks and things like that. I actually named her team, so I helped out there. She was looking for ideas for that. I just do whatever I can. I'm not big into it, not because I don't want to be, just because I don't know all the things behind the scenes. So just helping her out with some posts, some wordings, pictures, things like that.
I help out in the back office, with 20,000 of you, it gets pretty overwhelming for her. She just shuts down and she doesn't even look a lot of times anymore. So I'll just kind of be her extra set of eyes. And
Thanks for outing me there.
just saying, like, she gets overwhelmed, so I'll tell her, like, so-and-so maybe close to promotion, or, they might go inactive. So I'm her business partner. This is our company. So we work together. Other things I may do is just like encourage. I'll get on Facebook and encourage you guys, or tell you look pretty. That's what you want to hear anyways.
It's not in a creepy way.
It's not in a creepy way. If I get on there, you're like, I pretty much try to do anything she does. I'll even sometimes I'm her secretary and respond to messages. So if you get one and it doesn't sound like Megan, chances are it's me. They told me your secret.
I talked about mine a little bit earlier. My big thing was what little I can do or things like that is, like I said, you'd be surprised how far just sharing everything she posts goes. Or just, I'm sitting in the other room when she's going live because typically she's yelling at me to shut the dogs up or keep being quiet or something like that.
Yeah, that upstairs and
Yeah, trying to keep the kids entertained, but even with that, I'll hit the share button, and whether I'm giving Hayden a bath, and like I said, just creating miniature dialogue within it, because a lot of people get on there and they just watch their lives and they don't say anything. Or she'll ask a question and nobody will say anything. Or she might be talking about a product. So what I do recommend to the guys is if you don't know anything about the product, like get the Reader's Digest or the Cliff Notes of the product. That way, when she's on her live, if she's talking about something, she gets scatterbrained in her lives because she doesn't like doing them in the first place. You can kind of throw some hinters out there and some pointers and some questions of, hey, talk about this, or hey, what about the 3D mascara? Why is it so good? Or the pressed powders, or the splash lipsticks. Look, they don't come off, type thing. But then also learning about the different statuses, the different colors and things like that. I was really shocked when I actually knew the answer to some of those things anyway. I felt like I deserved a prize, I'm just saying. But so I don't do as much as like Jesse does, or Jeremy does, and like the back office, or Brian does. What I don't do as far as the social media aspect of it, I try and pick up in between. I cook dinner. Hayden knows that I cook dinner. I cook better than mommy. So I cook dinner, or I'm a little OCD, so I like things picked up at night and things like that. I don't get on her about that. So it's just trying to pick up extra things, distribute the responsibilities around the house of doing some things. So that has absolutely nothing to do with Unique, but because I'm doing those, it means that she can focus on something else. So that's all I got.
A little myth. I don't ever look at the back office. People think I do all the time. Christina tells everybody, yeah, true story. I never do. I do sometimes, actually. So I do sometimes, and I will.
Is it you do or you don't?
Yeah, every once in a great blue moon. I'd say like 2% of my help is there. But either way, how do I help? Well, I obviously help with her team as best I can. As far as I brainstorm with Christina all the time about ideas, different sales techniques, different different apps. I always try to show not only Christina but other guys' apps, because I try to tell a lot of the spouses too that I talk to that your network is her network. So obviously, the larger your network is, the more influential you are, then you can actually pass that along to that particular visibility to your spouse. So if you're looking good and you're looking like somebody that's a value of interest, then you're going to obviously be able to flush some of those people over to your spouse and give her expanded visibility. Like Ryan said, through shares, he clicks shares a lot. So if you're somebody of value and they value you and you share something, then they may actually say, okay, why is he sharing this? What is this? Other ways that I like to help, obviously, Christina thinks the biggest, and I think one of the largest things that I do is just affirmation of how effective this industry and this business is. For instance, for a lot of the guys, I'll get on there and I'll talk about the things that I do get, the tangibles, whether it be season tickets to the Bengals, You know, like guys are like, awesome, she got you season tickets to the Bengals by doing this. And so the guys are like, how did she do that? And then I obviously tell them about it. Same thing with trips. Whenever I'm on these trips, it's incentive trips, which are awesome. So girls, if you can get to Cancun, because, you know, yeah, the guys can get on there. I got a couple of recruits just by doing that, or helped out at least with that, by when I was in Key West. We were on a golf cart driving around. I think Matt Siebert would attest to that. He always says he was watching my video.
Where's Rodney?
And yeah, and saw that, and you know, just was like, well, if they're doing it, why can't we do that? Why aren't you in that? And so that's kind of how I help out. Is I just try to grow my network, try to be as influential as possible, and help them with that. And obviously, just a lot of the things that those guys do, just try to help out around the house and other things.
I stay out of the way. No, I mean, I'm probably more along like Ryan. I mean, this is one thing I wanted to touch on today, was just that there's like all different ways that you can support your spouse, and like I see it. Like I see Jesse going live all the time, and he's awesome at that. Not me. Jeremy, like he can say what he wants, but the back office checking between these two is insane. Like they don't leave a stone unturned. I've seen the Y dad all over the place. It's awesome. It's awesome. But like that, I mean, I don't comment on enough stuff, but I do try to keep the kids out of her hair. I do try to help out with the laundry, or to make a meal or something. And then if she needs help with the business, I'll go in her back office and help her. But like, I think that if I were to respond to some messages, I might be doing more damage than good. So.
Kylie, you're live with him with the arms where you look funny as thing.
So,
it was hilarious. I watched the entire thing twice.
So basically, in response to that, I do what I'm told. But yeah, I do. Like, I'll wear a hat out and that. I mean, I think that's huge. Even if like your husband or your boyfriend or whoever is like, how can I help you? I'm not good at any of this. Just get them a hat or something, or like tell them to just like be proud of you or whatever. Just like if somebody asks what your wife does, like be enthusiastic about it, and like don't just be like, oh yeah, she sells makeup online or something. You know, just be proud of her. Like
we own a cosmetic company.
Yeah, like.
And when I was new, you added all of your.
Oh yeah, like that's one thing. When she was new to her business, like I gave her full access to my Facebook list. Like I took every female in there, and I added Kylie as a friend to them. Like I went in under your account and added every single one of them. And since there was like a mutual friend there, like a lot of her customers or her team has come from there. I mean, I take a little bit of credit for that. But yeah. But I mean, there's no right or wrong way to be like a supportive husband or spouse. Like, but I think that you just have to be supportive no matter what, whether it's just business or any walk of life. Like if you're not your spouse's number one fan, someone else is going to be. And I never wanted that. I never wanted her mom to be a bigger fan of her than me, or her best friend to be a bigger fan of her than me, because that's what I signed up for when we got married.
He's already thinking of something. Well, he's right, and there's no wrong way to be supportive. There's no right or wrong, and you can do any little thing. Even for me, it becomes, I'm the house guy now. The house unicorn, is that how I do it, right? Laundry, kids, dogs, God's dogs. And I don't know, I mean, basically, that's it.
You keep your beard up.
I do that, yeah.
One thing I wanted to add is like these two, they have a men's team page, which is awesome. I mean, like they just so that the wives can add their husband or boyfriend to this group and see that there's somebody out there who's getting really irritated that his wife's on the phone, or see that there's somebody out there that is going live for their wife or checking her back office, or you can get a hat to help support the wife. But like Jeremy and Jesse are both doing like incentives in there that are just like they get the guys involved, and I think that's huge. If the guys involved it makes them feel like they're a part of the business, and it's less of why are you looking at your phone, and more of, hey, let me reach out to these girls for you so I can win $100 or win a Bengals jersey or whatever it is.
Successful softball team.
Yeah, or play on
Yeah, we
a
went over that
successful
too.
softball team. I didn't want to bring it up because I was afraid you'd ask me to play.
Hey, we almost won last game. We lost by 10.
Husbands of Unique upgraded too. There's also Husbands of Unique. I found that very helpful, that there's a lot of guys that, and that's all of Unique. So that's all husbands, spouses of Unique upgraded that particular page. There's a lot of good information on there, and there's a lot of guys on there that are very involved, that have really good information as well. So I encourage that they get into that. And this is something that they're not going to get notifications every 10 minutes on. It's something that's very casual, nothing too hard to keep up with. But a lot of guys, like some of the questions that are being asked, are asked in that group or my group or the Boss Babes group. So, it's one of those things that try to get your guys into that. And like I said, it's not like we sit in these groups and talk about our feelings and blah, blah, blah. We talk about legit stuff. Okay? We're going to get a feelings group chat, so it's open that one up.
Is that last question, Max?